I
Nice.
said 5, 4, 3. There we go. Excellent. So we are all set and ready to go. My name is Chet Parento. Welcome, one and all, to Stone Soup Poetry. Whether this is your first time here or your 50th time here since COVID pandemic made us go virtually online, each and every one of you is my friend, and each and every one of you is blessed tonight because we have the amazing Jamilla VanDyke-Bailey. This month of February marks the 6-year anniversary. Okay, we're short a couple of weeks, but on February 22nd, 2018, Jamilla VanDyke-Bailey featured at Stone Soup Poetry at Brew on the Grid, which was a coffee shop that was located on Windsor Street in Cambridge, Massachusetts, part of a chain that started in Worcester, and at the time, Stone Soup Poetry's new home. One of our most exciting venues, and I was looking for exciting people who could get into the open area with the good acoustics and the lively people, and a very supportive manager who liked bringing music into wherever he worked. He was a guy who worked in Beverly and just was excited with the grid, and was excited to have poets every week. Jamilla was one of our last people at Brew on the Grid as they shut down, and the outlet, the chain of coffee shops was also a chain of noodle shops. So they decided to switch out, and poetry and noodles apparently don't mix. I don't get that, but we were out. But Jamilla VanDyke-Bailey was the most memorable of that very short run in that Cambridge coffee house, and we always remembered it. And when there was an opportunity to have her back as an online feature in June of 2020, I jumped at the chance of contacting her, and she was all too willing. She had been putting out at least a couple of books self-published, and the woman, her book today, her book that's currently out from Finishing Line Press, was in the works, I would say, and finally came out late last year. I have my copy, and I'm looking at the link to Finishing Line Press where you can order it. I'll be sending that link through the chat. To quote Miriam Gerber Serrano, writer and editor of Tasteful Rude and author of Mean, she's quoted as saying, "Everything that Jamilla VanDyke-Bailey writes excites me. There is an immediacy, intimacy, and freshness to her prose and poems that hooks me and makes me want more. The woman, VanDyke-Bailey's fragmentary poems about womanhood, girlhood, genderhood, and the hoodhood, Bailey collages a world stitching together a universe of heartache and soft triumph." A bit of the obligatory bio boilerplate for those who don't know. Jamilla Danae VanDyke-Bailey is the daughter of Karen VanDyke and Dana Bailey, and stepdaughter to Lita Bailey. She is the granddaughter of Catherine VanDyke and Brenda Caney. She is the mother of Dana Morrison Selassie Oe, which I apologize if I butchered that. She is a sister, aunt, cousin, friend, ex-girlfriend, and enemy. She is Black. She is a poet. She is a writer. She is an educator, and she is one. Friends, put your hands together, let's say 30, 40 times, either through emojis, through visual, turn the mics on and let it vibrate into the mic. Give it up for Jamilla.
Woohoo!
And now she needs to unmute.
Sorry, I was
There you go.
cracking up. So, hi everyone. Thank you for coming to this event, and thank you, Chad, for having me for the third time. I really appreciate it. The Woman was a project I wanted to go on to understand women experiences. It was during COVID, so we weren't really able to like meet up, but I asked a small group of women some questions, very weird questions. And I took what they answered and turned it into poetry. It started off with 11 questions, and then it got narrowed down. And then I kind of just let the words take me where it goes. The first one I want to read is, "How is girl defined for you?" It's the very first poem in the book. "Girl, a female child from birth to adulthood. Synonym, pink, daughter. Synonym, pink, a young woman. Synonym, pink, pink, pink. Sometimes offensive, a single or unmarried woman of any age. Antonym, pink, pink, pink. Gentle, graceful, warm, a sweetheart. Often offensive, a female servant or employee. Pink, gentle, graceful, warm. Antonym, warm, graceful, gentle, pink, pink, pink. Informal, a friend. Used as a friendly way of addressing a woman or girl. Synonym, gentle. Synonym, warm. Synonym, graceful. Synonym, pink. Synonym, you. The next poem I'm going to read is based off of, it's the second poem, again, answering the question, how was woman defined for you? Or how was girl defined for you? And this is after Jamaica Kincaid's short story Girl, which if you haven't read it, go read it. It's really good. And I essentially did some erasure and found poetry to again deal with this task of womanhood and girlhood. So going back to the question, how was girl first defined for you? For you, 1, wash and put dry. 2, don't cook sweet oil. 3, soak after you take a wash. Soak overnight before you cook. 4, sing. 5, eat your food like you are becoming. 4, sing. 6, speak. 2, don't eat street flies. 4, sing all and never. 7, so. 8, hem yourself to look becoming. 9, iron, iron. 10, grow far from the house, grow plenty of water. 11, sweep a corner, sweep a whole house, sweep a yard. 12, smile too much, smile completely. 13, set a table for dinner, set a table for lunch, set a table for breakfast. 14, behave in the presence of men. 1, wash your own spit. 2, don't play marbles. 15, pick flowers. 2, don't throw blackbirds. 16, make bread, pepper, pot, good medicine. 17, throw away a child before it falls on you. 18, bully a man, love a man. 19, feel bad about giving it. 20, move on. 16, make ends meet, make it fresh. 21, be the kind of woman they let near the bread. Sorry, I could just see Chad mouthing the words, wow. Thank you. Next I'm going to go to the section of who stole your body from you and how did you get it back? Of course, this is for a trigger warning about, in a lot of ways, about sexual assault, but also just about ownership. So when asking this question, a lot of women were very vulnerable in their responses, and I found that fortunately and unfortunately, there is a common thread that is connecting a lot of us through this experience. And so I'm going to read Ways to Heal. Ways to Heal, number 17. Pray until you are empty, and even then, still. Go to God, not the one that was discovered for you, but the one that you forged yourself. Ask God to introduce you to yourself, suitcases and scars and singed sinew. Go to yourself, both expose without explanation and mutter words of love that you do not mean because you do not mean it yet. Ask yourself to be kind, to be a prayer, to be in prayer, and in kindness enfold yourself inside out. Pray until you are worthy, and even then, still. The next one I'm going to read is The Body Was Loaned from this section. The body was loaned to the mother to carry the child who was also on loan. The father, with the shadow of a man-child, couldn't stomach his own spinelessness, not when we was making a solstice in our navel. And so he taught himself how to dismantle us. What was once teasing soured into sandpaper. He forgot the words beautiful and pregnant, so he called us a housefly, a flea, and a bedbug, a strip tease, a whorehouse, and a hypocrite. These words, every day these words settled into his understanding of the one he made mother. And that is why, he said, that is why he had to use his hands to reorganize our orbital bone, the enamel of our teeth, and our tin tongue. He became blind with the residue of insecurity. And he tried to break us, to break our body, the body that was loaned to the mother, so we could carry the child who was also on loan. And every time he couldn't break us, and he would try again and again and again until we made ourselves into a trap door and hid the child and the mother who was also on loan.
Wow.
I'm going to, so one, it's awkward because my mom's on here. But one question that I asked was, what is the hardest lesson loving your mother has taught you? I think that there's something very powerful in the relationship between a mother and a daughter, or a maternal figure and a daughter figure. It's something that I learned is powerful and can transform you way later in life. I was I was really annoying and mean when I was younger, but I got it together. I made it through. And so it's always important, especially as a young mother myself. I have a son, but I try to really understand what I could learn from other people's relationships with their parents so that my son doesn't have to do a lot of unlearning and can hopefully, get it right the first time. Um, Again, I was just stubborn, to be honest. Um, I want to make it clear before I read it. This is not to my mom again, all right? This is this is from other people's conversations and then I took it to here. So mommy, don't be mad. Auntie Kimberly, don't also be mad. All right? Okay, cool. Um, so what is the lesson? No. What is the hardest lesson loving your mother has taught you? My grandmother died an islander who unspooled, an anchor into a country that was disorienting and crude. Some mornings she beaded her knuckles into white folks' clean laundry and tended to their dirty kids until her shirt back was sopping with violent sweat. With rosaries inside of her hands, her and her husband mingled together stale breadcrumbs and cornbread and turned it into hallways peppered with laughter. High on jelly and jam, babies ignorant of how quietly a spine can crack. They weren't raised to know the stink of old dishwater when it's smashed hot onto your only good work clothes, or how to disassemble a kitchen table before the landlord comes back for the back rent spent on baby shoes, or how shameful it feels to want for all that you need. And yet, these babies grew uppity and unafraid to let white teeth knotting against their shins and ankles. Clambering, they took everything from her house. They bolted the escape door, leaving my grandmother's dreams burning alive inside, gulping and gulping. Nothing made it out alive except me and the rosaries. Now I gotta knead my knuckles into white folks' clean laundry and tend to their dirty kids until my shirt back is sopping with my violent sweat and my resentful tears and my dream that my daughter's fingernails will never have to scratch out the scent mildew left in her school clothes. And the next one is called A Baby is Crying. A baby is crying. A baby is crying so loud. A baby is crying and it is so loud. A baby is crying and it is so red and loud. It is so red and loud and painful. A baby is crying and it is so red and loud and painful and it won't stop. It won't stop. It won't. A baby is crying, getting all red and loud and painful, not stopping, not stopping, not stopping. A baby is crying, dyeing the room in violent cherry red, dousing the walls in violent red like cherries. A baby is crying, and I cannot soothe them, and I will not soothe them, and I don't want to soothe them. Her red, loud, painful, nonstop, make it stop, make it stop, make it stop. I am crowding, crying loud and red, and I don't know how to stop. Um, Probably my favorite question that I asked is weird, so don't call the FBI. Um, but it's what do you know about cleaning up blood? Um,
I'm already
my
on a watch list, so I'll cover for you.
yeah, thanks. Cool, cool, cool. Um, it's well, one of my thinkings of this was when you are a woman and you are a young woman growing up, you go through your period and you have moments where it's just like, what am I supposed to do? It's the middle of the day. I wore all white today and whoops. But it's other things that come with blood. It's, you know, life and death and everything in between. And so I'm going to read one of my favorite pieces that I wrote, and it's from Nisi or Tanisha Pratt, who's in here, who's an amazing author, an amazing writer. Love her dearly. Um, and it was from a conversation that we had, very heavily inspired by her. Um, she wrote a book called Blue. Read it, or else. Um, and another gospel as told by woman. My cousin died in his sleep. They said congestive heart failure, a chronic and progressive sickness. One day, pump, pump, pump. The next day, it gave up on itself, gave up on him. He sat there, dead, for 2 days. It's a long time to sit there dead. Any time is a long time to sit there dead. I know that, and I know this. Bleach isn't enough to clean up the scent of blood, the scent of death, the scent of a body that done gave up. And I'm going to read, I think, if it is okay, um, get to the end, towards the end of the book. I didn't read all the poems, just like the ones that really speak to me. How couldn't we love you better and you us? Sorry, my boyfriend and dog left the room. My dog was getting excited and my son has to go to bed. Um, so how can we love you better and you us? Love me better, hear me more, be accepting, unconditional, unapologetic, considerate. Be the foundation fortified like prayer, breathe fresh, be eternal, make me internal, be patient, be air and earth, and imperfect, and love, and able to be loved, and love better. How can we love you better and you us? Sis, come sit with me and let me love on you like you love up on me. Matter of fact, tell me, sis, how you need to be loved? Need me to hold you? Bring you into me to put your head down for a sec and let your skin exhale? Or can I sing you a hymn my mama said makes God light in the soul? Quilt together quotes to remind you ain't no one that's better than you. Sis, I will stop time to sit and burn every tear and drown every sigh. Let me love on you like how you loved on me when ain't no one could. And the last poem I am going to read is, sorry, just getting around. Um, it's actually a new poem is what I'm going to end off with, that I'm going to pull up any second now. Sorry, I apologize. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna pull up the poem.
Deep breaths. Don't worry.
So I am going to read this poem. It's just recently was published in a journal. And it's kind of different. What no one tells you about writing a book of poetry is that when it's centered around a theme or a specific topic or idea, it's really great. Apparently, you're right. A book of poetry, someone says, if you're lucky enough, someone says, yeah, I'm going to publish it. And then it takes a year for that to happen. I thought it happened like the next day, maybe 2 days, giving them some time. But it took a long time and I was just sitting stuck because this book was out of me, but I couldn't really find myself, give myself the ability to move on. And so recently, very, very recently, started writing again. And I'm going to end with this new poem that I wrote called Black Curses as Songs. Sorry, my son's talking in the background. The world isn't ready for you, and it doesn't deserve to be. We've made you out of ancestors, loud and fearless and black, all lungs of thunder and voice of bass. Learn quick. Cut their boots off at the ankles, season their food with your curses, and refuse their need for humility. Rebel and revel in it. Burn loose the songs of the saints and make mud of the fears of the slaves. Try to make goodness of the world and leave the rest to God and the songs. And that's all I have for you today. One thing that I want to say before I fully finish up is, of course, buy the book, you know, thank you. That would be great. But also, if you don't already, try to find time to write. Um, you don't have to be super prolific, but I have found that especially during, you know, trials and tribulations, taking time to write things out, whether you're writing a letter to your friend or you're just writing something down very quickly in the notes in your phone, taking that time to be with yourself and your thoughts and your feelings really allows you to center, realign, and move forward better. Um, but thank you all. Uh, yeah. Don't know how to end this. All right. Good times.
Ladies and gentlemen, help her end it. Turn your mics off and put your hands together 30 to 45 times. There we go.
Thank you.
And that's
Thank
how
you.
we end it. Well, not quite. We do have the open mic afterwards, but as far as your segment, I do want to repost the link to your book for anyone who may have missed it in the last 10, 20 minutes. Some people have been giving compliments online. So some people may have so I think at least one person had to jump out and jump back in again. So that might affect their ability to grab the link. I'm sending the link to the women into the chat right now. Whoops. Give me one sec. There we go. And that's from the prestigious Finishing Line Press. And pro tip that I wish I knew: a year is not that unusual to have to wait for a book. I mean, I was supposed to wait, I think maybe 6 months when I got it published, and then the publisher had a fire and had to have his house rebuilt. Thankfully, it was built by Amish, so he could get it he had a quick turnaround, but it pretty much lost like all his information except for like one computer. So, and the other time my publisher was dealing with homelessness. So that was another thing. So you never know what's going to happen. So just keep in mind, you know, publishers have and I speak as someone who publishes a magazine, we just have an innate desire to do this. So if they haven't done it yet, usually it's a good reason. You know, we're compelled to move like sharks onto each new project. But I'm so glad that they stuck with yours. I'm glad this is out now. You've been working hard at this. You've been publishing your own books, and you haven't. If you have a link to your Etsy shop, I don't have it off the top of my head, but I know you're selling books through there. And if
Mhm.
you have a PayPal where anyone can make a quick donation, PayPal or Venmo or what have you, you should leave that in the chat too, and I can put that out into the world tomorrow after I post the thank yous and the obligatory videos and all that good stuff. So I'm so glad this is getting done. I hope this is the first year of virtual readings. I hope that of many virtual readings to come. I hope you have an amazing live reading to come. Should talk to you about getting into the Boston Poetry Marathon. That would be fantastic if you could do that. And we'll keep going on. But thank you so much for sharing your words. It's great to have you back a third time at Stone Soup Poetry, and we'll look forward to your next book.
Thank you.
And for those
Thank
of
you.
you who have been waiting for your turn on the open mic, the link is down there. Buy this fucking book now, and or check out the Venmo if she's got it. Definitely donate and show your appreciation to all the poets who take their time to feature here. We had Margaret Young last week. We have Jamilla. Next week's an open mic, but we do have other features coming up. One that we'll be announcing later on this week for the end of March. So spaces are filling up, and poetry is going to be busy, especially with National Poetry Month in April coming around the corner. And now we do want to segue to the open mic. We have a bunch of poets who've been waiting very patiently. I tried to get Carol, but she seems to be indisposed again. And Nancy Dotson still seems to, she had to go to the hospital a few weeks ago, and I guess she's doing better now, but I haven't heard from the daughters. So hopefully I'll be able to contact them and see what's going on. But her voicemail is currently out of commission. So if I get any updates about Nancy in the next 48 hours, I'll let you guys know. But thankfully, we have our usual gang of suspects. And the person I want to have start off for our feature tonight, for our post feature open mic, is Mr. John Wesick. This is virtual open mic. You don't choose when to go. The Ramdinator 5000 selects you out of a list of a virtual hat. Yeah, so I don't get this is better than the old days when I'd say we need someone to start off the open mic, but everyone puts themselves down at 3, 4, or 5, and then 3, 4, or 5 become the default 1, 2, and 3, and everyone wonders why. But yes,
I always put myself down at one because I'd rather just get it over with, and so I can listen to somebody else instead of thinking about what I'm going to read.
I know what you mean. But I'm glad I'm glad you're a willing person to break the open mic ice. So let's hear it.
My disappointment dreams of jail. Steel doors, concrete benches. If he avoids trouble, he might get out before getting raped. But a guy in frilly panties jumped in his bed, and someone stole his shoes. My disappointment faked interest in plasma frequencies to work among banks of humming transformers at the National Lab. They hired someone else, so he took a job in Nowheresville, Ohio, and got laid off 6 weeks later. My disappointment re-enrolled in all the classes he took at university. He seldom sets foot on campus. When he does, whiteboards, pointless grades, and pitying looks send him home to stare at wallpaper and linoleum. My disappointment pleasures a woman who neither responds nor reciprocates. When he reaches for a condom, he wakes up alone.
Stepped away to get a pen. Thank you so much, Mr. Wesick, for breaking our ice. Now, who's going to step on that ice next? Who's going to fall in? We'll find out. Let's go to Mr. Ken Johnson to carry the torch, to pass on the flame, to bear the burden, to unmute his mic. To say something.
He's muted, Chad.
I know, but I'm trying to ask him to unmute. You're muted, sir. There you go.
Oh, you can hear me now?
Yes,
Can't see me. Well, that's just as well. Okay.
I can see you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can see and hear you.
All right. I don't know why I can't, but who cares? I've been mourning my beloved Christine, who passed away last July. So I call this the Flying Kites. My Christine, if I never love another, yours will be enough. I have that picture of you naked on a sand dune. I didn't take it. You gave it to me. October in Aquina was no weather for a beach day. The surf had risen slightly, and the skies were autumn gray. We walked up to the Aquina shop. It was closed, all plywood doors padlocked. The porch deck there was clean and bare, no tables and no chairs, and stiff winds blew through both our hair. It was the end of the world for us. No thought in us to migrate south, as if we could walk out upon those chill autumn waters next to land on Narragansett or Block Island. I looked out at the sea before the cliff foot, where glacial stones broke the waves, as so many ancient Saracens ensconced as boisterous oysters on a pallet of shallow bedded sand that had once been these cliffs, measured out, spilled evenly, knee deep, as from the broken hourglass of time. And there was the sound of a windswept kite, ruffling as cotton flags on a gale, but we saw no navy out to sea. It was a hawk, rose up there before me, distinguished by the brown belt upon its belly and the sunshade autumn leaf light through its rusty tail feathers, catching an updraft, rising on the cliffs, its primaries and tail features lapping that vocal rumble. And down the shore a falcon, gray as the gray sky, its tapered wings. And up that way, two osprey, pas de deux, and a kettle danced on outstretched wings, as they all rose high like specks of dust upon the autumn sky. They all turned out into three stoops, jetting over the seas, and disappeared, as would a cloud of ashes from an urn took in the wind. Goodbye.
Thank you, Ken. My condolences as well. A couple people had
All
offered as such in the chat, and I know you mentioned this last week. You had mentioned it in brief when you did your poem during the open mic. So thank you for sharing again. I hope next week isn't too rough. We have if in the event that it is, I decide to hold an open mic anyway. Probably maybe against my best wishes, but I'm gonna be spending Valentine's early with my girlfriend, or a couple of days after. We haven't decided, and so therefore Wednesday is still pretty open. So on the 14th, I called it Stone Soup's first and possibly only open mic gathering of lonely bastards. So so unite. So unite if you want. Do anti Valentine's poetry, do anti erotica, whatever you like, or share the poems that you wrote at your most lonely state, or sing love poems anyway in defiance to the whole idea I have. That's going to be next Wednesday. Happy Valentine's Day. But I look forward to seeing you guys next week, and I look forward to the rest of this open mic. I'm gonna continue on. The Ramdinator has chosen Jan Rowe.
Hi. I just have to say, Ken, when his granddaughter, when she was little, she's now 30, when her great grandmother died, and we were taking the ashes for interment, she was like a toddler. And I was looking for it the other day. It was like kites and hearts she was drawing. It was very interesting. And when you said that, it reminded me of it. So, okay, this is a second draft called Did Sexism Kill Women IDF on the Northern Border? So, young women doing their 2 years of Israeli mandatory service in the Israel Defense Forces, the IDF, they reported to their supervisors an increase in the activity of Hamas on the northern border. The supervisor's response? Threats. Threats for the young woman to shut up or to be charged with insubordination. Insubordination, to be charged with insubordination for not being quiet about valid concerns, as it turned out, October 7th at the music festival. So is this related to Netanyahu taking 6 hours to get there? The warmongers not prepared for war? Which side had the weaponry to incinerate people in cars that the Israelis now want to bury? So those young women doing their 2 years of mandatory IDF, Israel Defense Force, except for 2, are dead. Thank you. I have to say it somewhere. I can't do it at the homeless writing thing.
Thank you, Jan. Who do we want to put in next? Let's go for some levity. A little levity. Let's go to Mr. Rick Spizak.
Thank you, sir. We had a delivery earlier today, so I can provide the levity that you've required, or at least attempt some sort of effort. And first, I got to thank Jamilla. Wonderful, wonderful presentation. Great poetry, super delivery. Bravo, bravo. And now for something completely different. This is called, I want you to picture this with me. The mariachis are marching around the village. People are excited. They come out of the shops. The children are released from school. And now here we go. The merry marching mariachi band. The mad mariachi mambo line danced through the village till it's so pixelated, syncopated, keeping time. The claves and kalimba sounded loud and clear, stopping from time to time so the children could hear. The entire village joined in, singing like a choir. The retired accordionist at the drugstore lamented he'd sold his squeeze box just last week when he learned he was fired in a late-night tweet. The marimba and triangle players knew each other well. They were neighbors once and shared a backyard. They knew each other's secrets and would never, ever tell. Timbales and bongos were the first to pass, and it was remarked, with their fevered, fervent pounding, they would never last. 2 upright basses followed at a little distance. They hated to follow anyone keeping time. They were quite resistant. The percussionists were all very independent-minded. They kept triple-tonguing 16 notes in 6/8 time. The master conductor, initially quite enthusiastic, after 3 times around the village fountain, turned bitter and more than a shade sarcastic. The trombonists, who were in it from the very beginning, had marched off in their own direction as they were determined to be winning. The clarinetist and oboist couldn't come. They had no clue. They were feeding peppercorns to polar bears in the midday sun. The 10 timpanists followed closely on a flatbed truck. If you'd expected them to march with kettle drums, well, you'd be out of luck. A coven of kazooists were enthusiastic, and the crowd at the bowling alley in unison roared as they passed and in one voice shouted, those guys were pure Harry Potter-esque magic. And at the town's steel drum band met them in the new skating park, where they often met to jam from pre-dawn till after dark.
Peppercorns to polar bears, indeed. I am, looking who to remnant here pick next. Thank you so much, Richard. And you should check out his recent work in Oddball Magazine and ask him about his stone poetry book. Friend him on Facebook. You'll get some of the best graphics. We might even get one after tonight, but he does a good job promoting other virtual readings out there. He also does a great job attending the readings out there, better than me, but I got a day job and I can't exactly I can't exactly join a reading during a hospital where I have to fax medical records, but if only I could. So let's see who we have next here. According to the records, we have Mr. Robert Fleming, who, if he gives me just one nanosecond after I say this sentence, I will make sure he is able to share the screen. Our resident visual poet, Mr. Fleming.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Robert Fleming, a visual poet from Lewis, Delaware. And tonight I will be soliciting submissions for a literary magazine that I will be one of the editors for this year. The magazine is called, let me go ahead and do a slideshow. Do a full screen. The magazine is called Instant Noodles.
I was going to say LaChoy, but anyway, go on.
No, it's Instant Noodles. It's
Um,
published by Devil's Party Press. And the 224 submission, as is typical, is open to authors who are 40 years of age at the time of publication or older. And it is curated by the imprint of Devil's Party, Old Scratch Press. The themes this year are in spring instant, with a submission deadline of March 15th, Devil's Party, June 30th, and Holiday Noodles, September 30th, which are funny things that go wrong around the holidays, or noodles. And we have genres for everyone. We have flash fiction, creative nonfiction for Jan Rowe, who could write an opinion editorial, memoir. Those three are up to 500 words. We have poetry and art and video. And I will be the editor for art and video. And we could have, for the video selection, we could have Ethan Mackler submit a piece of him playing his guitar, or James Van Looy singing. This is an example of the type of work that I would like for the spring issue of Instant. A very good example for Instant is traditional haiku poetry, which is at one moment in time where you would look out a window. Step up to podium. Salem town crier cries. 3 witches burned. Another option, which is very quick, is flash fiction, which are 6 words, which has a verb. Madam Chopstick Walker trips on kabuki. Melt Marilyn Monroe into a pizza. The hungry poisoner feeds a pear. Pray the tea will be strong. And some examples for the summer submission of Devil's Party. This is one I wrote called Pixelated Ever After. My prince, this castle, still happy? All those balls, cartoon sex, no baby. Tired of charming? I am happily ever after is too happy. It's always happy. Prince, what do you want? See this travel brochure? Spend 2 weeks in hell. Hell has a gargoyle devil dog. A devil dog? No, not to eat. Not a hot dog. Devil dogs are better than fairy godmothers. Prince, be my devil. I've dreamed of you giving me orders. Like that? Prince, speak. Oh my prince only fits shoes, dances at balls, and is charming. And here is an example of an art piece which would fit Devil's Party. It is called a limbo pitchfork. The top says hell and the bottom says heaven. And for the last one, for holiday noodles, things that go wrong over the holidays, or noodles, here is a flash fiction piece which I wrote after last Christmas. By Christmas, you will be married. Both Santa and I are fatter. We can't fit down the chimney. We enter the house from the garage. The door from the garage to the house is locked. Figures. We hear sirens outside and see red and blue lights. Festive. We sing songs all night and snore in the garage. We wake up in each other's arms, naked and in jail again. We escape through the jail chimney, slay to Las Vegas, and are married in the Elvis Chapel. At 10 a.m., we are in the Bellagio Hotel honeymoon suite, conceiving elf tentuplets. Thank you. I hope you'll consider submitting to Instant Noodles, and I will put the link for that in the chat.
Thank you, Mr. Fleming. And now, as we wind down the night, we all seem to be fading and getting picked off like in a horror movie. But I will hey, come to think of it, Bill Lewis isn't here today. Uh-oh. Lock your doors, guys, and let's get some music up with courtesy of Mr. Ethan Mackler, who didn't say he wasn't playing tonight, but in case he's not. There he is. Pulse of Stone Soup, ladies and gentlemen. And the Boston Poetry. Nicely, nicely done, sir. And to close out the open mic, we're going to bring up another columnist for our columnist from Oddball Magazine at oddballmagazine.com, a place I hope all of you submit to. Jamilla has submitted some wonderful work to us before in the past. Hopefully she shall again in the future. We're also looking for some timely pieces as the dumpster fire known as the 2024 election comes to a screeching halt once it hits each and every one of us in the face. So we're looking for anything you might want to submit our way. I've already assembled a team of what I call the roving poets to do timely work on a regular basis. But if we get more timely work from more contributors, well, that's so much the better. In the meantime, check out this poet columnist's work at It's All One Thing. It's All One Thing. That's the title of the column. It's a poem a week. He's been doing for over 300 weeks now. And 500 weeks now. And he is and that is available at oddballmagazine.com every Thursday morning at 11 o'clock. Let's welcome up Mr. James Van Loy. Sorry to shortchange you by 200 there. My bad.
Thank you. Oh. So I've got a poem here which is called Valentine's Day in Doggerland Divide. Valentine's Day, and I just saw this recently. They really do call this place Doggerland, okay? So anyway, it's explained in the piece here. So, Valentine's Day in Doggerland Divide. After 2 long years, continuous Lent comes again for a third time. It's an annual season beginning with giving up things just because we can do without. And then by being done with that, open a new space where we enter into that we were formerly too full to allow to come, and coast into what we really need, but couldn't even see waiting for us. So the internet, old YouTube, starts sending me archaeological updates from Utrecht, out of Heden, about the Doggerland, this North Sea bank, now under the cold waters between northern England and Netherlands, Northumbria, where my wife's people come from, and Holland of my grandparents, once all one thing there, in Neanderthal ice age of mammoths and saber-toothed tigers' bones, now wash out on the new coast formed when a colossal avalanche sent a tsunami to cut off England from the continent and preserve those bones in watery burial graves of vanishing animals and humans between the coast upon which both my wife's my ancestors once lived, which the ferry has taken us between so many times from Newcastle to Emuden. And here's the song for you. You must remember this. A kiss is just a kiss. A sigh is just a sigh. The fundamental things apply as time goes by. And when two lovers woo, they'll still say, I love you. On that you can rely, no matter what the future brings as time goes by. Moonlight and love songs, never out of date, hearts full of passion, jealousy and hate. Woman needs man, and man must have his mate. That no one can deny. It's still the same old story, a fight for love and glory, a case of do or die. The fundamental things apply as time goes by. Thank you.
Perfect to segue into Valentine's Day next week, where at least a good 30% of us will be miserable. No, hopefully not. Hopefully not. Those of us who have children and partners, or even besties who can't stand the holiday, we'll all have someone, I hope. So I hope. What's your nationality? I'm a drunk. Yes, Casablanca. Yes, gotta love it. Thank you, Jamilla VanDyke-Bailey, for your wonderful work. Share any PayPals or Venmos that you want, either through private chat to me on Messenger or in the chat here. This is your last chance via this link to grab Finishing Line Press's The Woman from Jamilla. Definitely grab it. I grabbed mine last year. It was worth it. Support the poets this month. Support the poets all year. Do whatever you can. Throw a few bucks, couple bucks, people. Come on. And thank you guys for your support and for coming to Stone Soup week after week, or even every other month after every other month. It's good to have you back. We'll see you next week for the Lonely Bastards gathering, and hopefully we'll be announcing more features in the next 48 hours, at least some from March. More are coming. Hopefully I got a good way to close out February, but I should have a good way to at least close out and hopefully open up March. And there's going to be people who want to read for National Poetry Month, and of course Stone Soup's, God, is it 52nd now or 53rd? God, it's no, 53rd anniversary. God help me. God help me. That's got to be coming up on the week of May 1st. But anyway, let's do the obligatory wave, and thank you guys very much for coming tonight, and thanks for Jamilla. Next week I'll see you then. Could be like this every week, guys. All we need is you. And that's it. The show's over. See you next time. Watch for the video tomorrow. Watch for the Stone Soup Croutons poem on Friday. Take care.